See, we lived in a big hill. In winter, when it was freezing,
Uh-huh.
then you couldn't come up there. It was the only house. It was Grandpa and me on our house. Then
Uh-huh.
the Grandpa's house got very old already. Then my father bought him another house,
Uh-huh.
right near more than a little a title that they call. You have to walk on something to get it. And he left that house. But that was the whole. My father was everything. He was the oldest one.
What was your grandparents' names?
The first name,
Their first, yeah. And their last?
Chaim.
Chaim was your grandfather?
Yeah,
And his last name?
Lieberman.
Lieberman.
Oh,
And-
I was
yeah.
Lieberman.
And your,
There are so many Liebermans here, not anyone.
not related.
No.
And your grandmother's name?
My father, my mother's, my grandmother's name.
Right.
That means my mother's grandmother.
Yeah.
Nanas.
Nanis?
Nanas.
And her,
Hmm?
what was her first name? Do you remember?
Haidweri.
Chadweri?
You know, it comes to me, but
Sure.
I never call her by the name.
Uh-huh.
Oh, she was such a wonderful person.
And her husband's first name? Your mother's father? Do you remember?
Moshe.
Moshe.
I'm named after him.
Uh-huh. And
And then my cousin, that one that died, more, he
uh-huh.
was named after, we all named after him. I was the first name after
Uh-huh.
him.
And
I didn't know him.
your
Hmm.
father's mother?
My father's mother,
Right.
she was dead when I was born. But I know the name because my sister, Sorki, in
Sorki?
Jewish. Yeah.
Do you know what her last name was, or her maiden name?
I don't know.
Okay. What was the name of the village that you grew up in?
The village?
Yeah.
Kamen.
Kamen?
Kamen, Mistečki Kamen, Vitebska gubernia, Lepeske Ujas. That I remember very good.
And
Vitebske Ujas, that means like here, state.
like a state?
Yeah. On Lepeske Ujas is that higher. Vitebsk was the highest. Vitebsk was a big town.
Was big?
Yeah, a big city. I was never there, but I know that was the biggest. That's why it was Vitebska gubernia.
Uh-huh.
Mistečki Kamen, Vitebska gubernia, Lepeske Ujas.
Huh.
Well, Mistečki means like a little village or so.
And you were born in Kamens?
Yeah.
Do you know what year you were born in?
Well, they figured out.
Uh-huh.
They're from 94 now. Then what's
And it's 1989,
80? No.
1895, around there. How many people lived in the village?
I really can't figure out. I know that when my uncle, the one I say that he died,
Right.
was one visiting and he figured how many girls are there.
Uh-huh.
And the older one and the young girls, like me, my sister also, was 40
There were
all together.
40?
And then I don't know how many families. See, right in the shtetl, in the little village, was half part Gentile people. But we always got along very good. The kids were played together. My father had friends that were, I remember like for Easter, my father always took a bottle of wine and take over to his friend. And they lived in a separate little, I can't figure out what it's called, a little street, a separate, and they had their own friends and church, and But it was never trouble. My father with that, what I say, he used to bring him wine. They were the best friends.
Uh-huh. How many streets were there in the village?
That was the street that called the Gesico, that lived on the Gentile.
Uh-huh.
And there was another street further out that was Polish people.
Uh-huh.
She was divided. Then what we never knew of trouble. My father used to deal with them, see? And my father used to go stay sometimes overnight, and he used to go to a dwarf called the village to do business.
What kind of business did he do?
He used to buy and sell everything.
Uh-huh.
Then he used to go away, and if it was too late to come home with a horse and wagon, then he used to stay over by one of the people that he knew overnight.
Uh-huh.
And it was good to them, and they used to bake potatoes to him because my father wouldn't eat anything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then I would think maybe 150 families altogether.
Uh-huh.
But a very lively little place.
Little town.
You know, we knew about what's going on in this world. We used to get papers prescribed from the biggest cities.
Uh-huh.
Used to send in. We used to read about it. We knew when there is election for president. And on Saturday, we used to get together a group, everybody's age. I had mine, friend, my sister, my brother had their friends, but I was the third one. I was so much younger that they didn't want to take me. I should go with Deco.
Uh-huh.
My father said, you have to take her too. If not, you can go. My father was so crazy about me, and I was so crazy about my father. He never saw such a good person in his life. Such a good father. He watched us like there is nobody else but his children. Then, but we were very, I can't explain what it is. Well known, we were bright to know what's going on in this world.
Right.
We knew when the fire was here in New York years back,
Big fire?
the big fire that was killed 500 girls.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that right away.
Hmm.
And that's why my father was very much afraid that I'll go to work in a factory.
In the factory?
That I promised him that I wouldn't. And I was trying real and I didn't.
Uh-huh.
I only for a while green it head when I told you about my cousin. Otherwise I was looking for a small place.
Right.
I was so afraid. You're going to work in a factory? You're going to work in a factory? And I had an uncle that he was here in New York. And he lived in Lebanon, that's the biggest city. Then he came back from America. Then my mother said, go to Lebanon, talk to him, to the uncle, and see what he'll say about your boy that didn't want me to go to try it everywhere. And I did, and he advised not to.
Uh-huh.
He said, for you, America, they go to the shop, they take a pack of for a sandwich, or move down the sleeve like that. It's not for you. Because I had such a nice home and everything.
What was your home like?
My home? A house, a frame. But see, my mother comes from a different city, you know, I told you before. Then when they got married and came to this little town because my father was there and his whole family. Then they rented a room. Then my brother was born in there 3 years that they lived in a room.
Your older brother?
My brother is the oldest.
What was his name?
David.
David?
Schaffner. You name after him. Yeah, I just thought about it.
Uh-huh.
All my grandchildren are named after my family
Uh-huh.
because everybody, you know, dad and mom held it up. I haven't got anybody else.
Uh-huh.
That all your kids are named after my family. Then my father said, they had a little boy the same age as my brother. Then they were on, they owned it at the house. Used to take the little boy. Then my mama was telling them and say, if he does something, give him back. You the boss. Then when my father and mother told that, they said, oh no. And they said, build a little house for them. And with the time, the family got bigger. My sister was born, and then me, and then they kept on adding.
What was your sister's name?
Hmm?
What was your sister's name?
My sister?
Yeah, her name.
Soki.
Soki?
Sonny, we called her. Then he had a big lot. But for a couple, with one child. Then he kept on adding.
Adding more rooms to the house?
Room. Then he added 2 more rooms, and then the last one I was home. We built a beautiful place. Remember the windows, real big windows and very classy.
Uh-huh.
There was a dining room, another bedroom, and that faced the front. And it was on a hill. Then if a guest came in town or so, and they took a walk, they always stopped to see how it lit up or something that I remember that they always stopped to see that a hill.
Uh-huh.
A park, they used to call it. A park is a hill. And my grandfather had an old house, a big house, but very poor and old. Then a family went to America, to Sheboygan. Then my father bought off the house for my grandfather. When he left the whole house, then my father turned it off and built that exit. It was a big living room. They wanted to make weddings in our house, but scratch up the floors.
Sure.
My father used to holler at us. Used to say if a fly goes by for them, but shivering and others. Then the kids roll over there with a pillow to wash the floor. My father used to say, it's to phone the floor, you're rocking out the floors with so much water.
But everything's...
I had a wonderful home.
Uh-huh.
We were well known, respectable. My father had the nicest seat in show. My mother, right with the rabbi. And he used to come sometimes for the, vegetarians and so. And then once in a while he used to come there and for them, singing. And maybe called it shoulders. And we used to take a walk sometimes they go. And we used to stop and listen to his voice.
The
and
girls...
growing up, we didn't have schools. That was the main thing. The schools, there was not anything. We had schools. We had 2 schools.
2 schools in the city?
Oh, don't ask what we went to. We used to sit, I remember like today, by the window and cry. You see the Gentile kids go to school. Well, we were always for education, for school. And we couldn't go.
They wouldn't let any Jews in the
They
schools?
wouldn't take any Jewish kids. And that was a terrible thing. But you have kids trying to be in school. Then what my father did, used to bring a teacher from all the time
Uh-huh.
and give us lessons.
What did they teach you?
Russian.
Russian?
Russian, Jewish. But
So-
most Russian, they had schools.
Uh-huh.
And that was a terrible thing. That's why I want to run away. I remember me and my sister used to sit and cry. Why do they go to school? Why can't we go? We didn't realize. They had to school.
It wasn't fair.
Hmm?
It wasn't fair.
Wasn't right?
It wasn't nice to the Jewish people what the Russians did.
No, that was the law by then.
What else did they do?
Yeah, you mean for a living or so?
No, to the Jewish people.
Well,
Was it okay otherwise?
anything. Then when they used to come in town, they lived in the villages, and they were farmers, most of them. Then on Sunday, they used to come in little town for shopping. They had yard goods, you know, they had rather fruit sometimes, but they needed. Then they used to get drunk. We had a little saloon. They used to get drunk, and when they used to get drunk, they used to say, "Let's be the Jews. Let's have it in the evening."
So you beat up on the Jewish people?
Yeah. Then in that day, my father locked the door, didn't let us out, because he said, if they come, you can let them in, but now they'll come into the house and get drunk, and then they'll put it to us, whatever you want to do. And that was very hard. It was very hard. And he used to say, "Don't open the door," say that I'm not home. But we couldn't go out there on the street. And sometimes he said, "What's trouble?" They used to get wrong. And that was the point, let's be the Jews. Well, what's arguing in the evening? But they go living there. And they're alone, we don't want to go away.
Uh-huh.
Always there was, again, put in a good way, you know, to deal. Then my father knew how to get along with it. See, in the summertime, we had the biggest shop.
Uh-huh.
We had 3 others. But through the summer, then you have to cut the farmers, the grass, and so that comes like, I don't know how you call it, a knife like that, a round knife with little, it's for cutting.
Right.
Forgot how it's called.
A
Then
scythe?
my father was an expert in it. He made for the summer, of course. We kids had to help him. He had to hold on one, and he used to make like little,
The serrated edge?
yeah, to cut the grass.
Right.
Then it used to be all around banks waiting in line. Then I remember like today, I used to sit on the outside on a little box to hold that thing, and he used to
Sharpen it?
Yeah, and he was an expert on that. Then he used to come upstairs and have to close him down and take out a whole bunch money and put it on the table. And we used to get busy counting.
Uh-huh.
That's why he made always a nice living. The big kids didn't have to work.
Did he have
That's
a...
why they were so against that I should go to work. My sister wouldn't even think about it.
When did you decide you wanted to...
Mhm.
When did you decide you wanted to leave?
Then I decided, as soon I know how to sew, then it was after that, but it wouldn't let me go till I get older. I was 11 years old when I went to learn the trade.
Uh-huh.
Then they wouldn't take me. And I used to pull my father's apron to take me, and she didn't want it. Finally, she took me. I was 11 years old, that I remember.
Where did you learn?
We had the couple dressmaker shop.
Uh-huh.
And this one, the closest to where I lived to. Then I used to get up early in the morning, and then go for lunch, was close by. And there where I started off. Then they usually pay something, but we had to pay.
To learn?
Yeah. But then I was so good on it that they paid me.
That's good. So,
And that's the way the life was not a good life.
did you have a lot of friends?
Friends? As much girls that is? Sure.
Yeah.
Boyfriends and girlfriends. I grew up. A boyfriend was fine when I said I'm leaving. A very cute boy and it's in the family, but I wouldn't even think to stay for him. Then when I left, then my sister used to write, why don't you write him a letter? He keeps on asking. He feels terrible. I say, I'm here and I don't want to start out with letters and send letters and wait for a letter. Forget about it because I would never want to marry him if I grow up. His father used to tell my father in shul, you know what shul is?
Yeah.
Oh, I had the same name that his mother had. And in Europe, they don't agree. You can marry that you have the same name as your mother. Here, that's nothing. Then he told my father told me that he told him that he would be so happy if I wouldn't be the same name. And he was the only child. And so that babied him so. I would never even want him when I grow up. I was 16 years old or so, 17 years. Then I say, I used to go with him, but I would never want him because I didn't like the idea. When I worked there, he had a name, and I worked for her a little bit. She used to make underwear. And sometimes in the bad weather or so, he wanted to walk me over home. Then the mother had to go, because she wouldn't let him go. I didn't like that kind of woman. That I didn't bother, but my sister used to write me, why don't you write him a letter? He feels terrible. You went away and you forgot about him. I say, tell him that I'm okay and I don't want to start out with writing. You know, letters is a habit.
Yeah.
You get a sweet letter and you get the answer. Forget about it and that's all.
Mm-hmm.
I had that called me the Alticop. You know what that means?
No.
I have an old head on me. I know what I want to do and I started out my own way and I managed things. And I settled that I don't want it. I would never want to get in. They were very well off and everything. They had a big home, but only one child. He was the only one.
Uh-huh.
Then they were so shivering after him. And he took violin lessons, he played violin. They do. It's a very lively little place.
What did you do for fun?
The boy.
You and the other children.
Huh?
What did you used to do for fun?
Perform.
Yeah.
Dancing.
Yeah.
We used to get together on Saturday in our house. Because we had a such a big house. And we used to dance, we used to take walks. We had a wall that called, I don't know what do you call it here, like where it's a lot of trees and grass.
A
What do
park?
you call it here?
A park?
Like a little park. And a little water, you know, little, where the water, that one, we had two places like that. That's on Saturday, everybody went there in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
You met out with people, and it was very nice. Then we had another one further, a bigger one.
Uh-huh.
This one was close to where I lived. Then we used to go there and get together in the house, play cards, or you know, just for Passover. We used to be busy a whole week playing with nuts.
Playing with nuts?
You go to everybody's house, and you had to have plates and put so many nuts, and then figure out which nuts could be. And I used to come with an apron like this, full with nuts.
So you,
An interesting little city.
uh-huh.
Very lively and progressive, you know what's going on in this world.
Uh-huh. Were there many stores in the city? Were there some stores
My nerves.
in the city?
I think
Were there some shops?
Oh yeah, sure. We had yard goods,
Uh-huh.
big stores. We used to have dressmakers. Yeah, we were very fancy. We had a tailor shop. Then when my sister wanted to make a coat, she wouldn't trust tailor. She had to go to Lepley. I told her, send him up. It's a big city. And we had, I had a name there. My grandmother's sister lived there. Then she wouldn't trust. And if my brother wanted a haircut, he didn't trust the barber. He had always had horses and he used to take a horse and go over to Lepley. It's about, I think, and the depot is about 3-4 hours with the horse and back.
Just
And
for the
then
haircut?
Everybody said that Solomon makes the kids wild. He's too good for us.
Uh-huh.
And then that's the way. Then 25 miles away is another bigger city. Then I used to go. My father had a brother and a sister there.
What were their names?
My brother said my uncle, son was here and got killed. Avremo.
Avremo?
Yeah, and my aunt's name got married there to a widower.
Uh-huh.
Then we used to go there. It's 35 miles away.
What was the name of that town?
Beschenwitz.
Beschenwitz?
Mm-hmm. But then we used to have cold balagovas like here, Texas, but with the horse and wagon. Then they used to take you back and front. But my father used to go, the Chashnik was another 35 miles away. They had big markets. Then group men was dealing, they were dealing everything. They always once in a while went there. And then I had family there. And I would be on the go all the time.
Uh-huh.
And then he used to take me along. And then come back the next day, stay a few days, until he was over the market. You know, like free market, you call.
Uh-huh. Where people traded things?
Yeah, if you bring things and you buy things and you trade things, then he used to go on for business dealing.
Uh-huh.
Was for a little time we were very bright, I must say myself.
Uh-huh.
My sister and my brother. My brother didn't like to be in shop, that he was being on the go, business.
Working in your...
He knew the work, he used to help out my father,
Uh-huh.
but he wouldn't stay.
He worked in your father's business, though?
Yeah, but then he used to go where he could buy and sell and things like that.
Were there other people work?
All the Sheboger people. Like Bess's father.
Uh-huh.
When I came the first time to Shebogen, then what was going on there, that Shalom, my father, daughter is here. All the people used to go to Shebogen. Shebogen was Council Milwaukee. We didn't know of Detroit.
Uh-huh.
Then everybody came, all the people that worked for my father, came to see me.
To see you.
They knew me as a kid, but I knew of them, see. Oh, one Saturday I'll never forget. One man was working for my father, and he got so excited that Saturday, and he came running and grabbed me. I came to Shebogen already with Dad. Dad was a little boy,
Uh-huh.
3 years old or so. And they're just they didn't know what to do. Shalom's daughter is here. Oh, they
were so excited.
grabbed me. I'll never forget. I almost vomited with fat lips that he ate the fat kugel and started kissing me. They know me just as a kid. I couldn't figure out how come that I should come to America.
Uh-huh.
That was a wonder for them. We wanted, when my brothers aged, for going to the army, having the drafted to go, they have to go to the service.
The Russian army.
Yeah. Then my parents didn't want them to go. So very hard that to say 4 years, and they could send them away in Siberia to avoid.
Yeah.
Then my father said, I'm not going to let him go. Then they tried to take him out. And they did, cost him $1,500 for schmieren.
The bribery?
Yeah. On their freedom, they let them free. Everyone was going against that. Everybody thought that for money, the poor boys have to go, and Dutch don't go.
They didn't like that.
They didn't like that. But I remember like today, we wanted to come, my daddy said, then they'll sell out, and they'll go to America.
So he wanted to go?
Yeah, because he didn't want my brother to go to the army. Then my mother wrote to his sister. Her sisters were all here, 3 sisters. And they say, no, it's not for you, America. You'll have to live in a small place. You'll have to buy things which you have. And we had a separate room for all kind of things to keep. Like to buy the things for corn, for tea, meal, and take to the mill and have everything in the house. And their sons didn't let them go, and then it was sad. Then came already, you couldn't go.
The war.
Well, my wish was to come to America. I didn't want to here. So I want to be in a big town, that's all. Then you can imagine from a little city like that and come, there is nothing but no trains. In the biggest cities, yeah, but where I and I came to America.
How did you come?
I came to my mother had the 3 sisters here.
Right.
Yeah. Then I came to big city where my mother was born. And from there, I had to take a train and go now. At night, I remember this city, a big city, Dvinsk.
Dvinsk?
Yeah, that's a Russian big city. And from Dvinsk, we went to Rybavy. That's a Polish, German. From Rybavy, we had 10 days. We took the boat. And we coming, took 2 weeks being on the boat.
2 weeks on the ocean?
Mm-hmm. And then when I came here, I had a terrible, I told you,
Yeah.
three.
What kind of ticket did you have on the?
Hmm?
What kind of ticket did you have on the ocean? On the boat? Did you?
I was very sick.
Right. Did you go? You went first class?
Yeah. If I wouldn't be in first class, I wouldn't be here. I was very sick. The first 3 days was beautiful.
What was it like?
It had the waiters and doctors and on the food, the waiters were wearing white jackets and white tablecloths and did everything, and music, and it was just wonderful. And then I got sick.
Did you know anybody on the boat?
Well, you meet you wait in Rybavy, and you get acquainted. They have a big room for all the passengers. And then they took us to show the city, beautiful big city.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I remember the first time I ate ice cream. Then they stop if you want something, and then they take you around to show you see the beautiful stores, a big city.
Uh-huh.
And then you go on the boat.
Did they have cars and trucks in the city?
Hmm?
Did they have cars in the city?
Go on a stop.
Automobiles.
Oh yeah. I saw an automobile in our little town.
One came to your town?
A Ford.
Uh-huh.
Was going down the what do you call it? The executive here, right, from Washington.
Like
You
the
know.
president.
Yeah, then they came through the shtetl in the march, where the big open, you know, the all the stores are and everything.
The town
And
square.
the police, right here, the mayor
Uh-huh.
lived in one of the nicest places there. Then they had to clean all the streets and sweep everything and close up all the stores. And we were so excited, so we ran to see. And they opened little Ford. That was maybe the first Ford they made.
Yeah.
And the idea is that they said that it goes without a horse.
Uh-huh.
And that was a big wonder. Then the show opened up the hood and showed that it has the went on kerosene and gas.
I guess, yeah.
But that was a big thing. We knew about airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't an airplane, but a balloon, what we call that.
A Zeppelin?
Yeah, and they went up and down and everybody ran to see.
A big one or a little?
Huh?
Was it big?
Yeah, a big thing, I remember that. And then we had a television, what do you call it? Gramophone?
A gramophone?
Yeah. Then they told you that there was one family where it is. They built the same time a brick building when my father built this shop.
Those were the only brick buildings?
Yeah, that was we had a balcony, you know, like a porch. It's when they played, kids used to run around on the watch and I listened to the gramophone.
Uh-huh.
But that was already that time things. It was a very bright little town. From that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we knew about so many things. You know, I was a little girl, a kid really.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I was a girlfriend with the one from the big shop, with the big house. I was in that home and upstairs, the biggest building, a 2-floor.
That was the biggest building in
Yeah,
town?
the very wealthy people.
Uh-huh.
But it was had downstairs a yacht goods store, the biggest store.
That's how
Like
they...
a general that had everything, but one part, I remember like today, we used to buy yacht goods to make clothes
Uh-huh.
for a Pesach, you know, before Easter. Everybody had to have something new. Then my mother used to go and deal with them because they had a big selection. And then give it to the tailors to make.
Make something new for you. So,
But I'm just telling you that it was a little place, but they knew about college. Some people, if you were very rich, you could go to another city, to the big city. But you had to be a first-class businessman and show that you had the, you know, big money.
uh-huh.
Then take the people that I said, the rich, that had the two families upstairs that had a gramophone. Their children went to college, but in different cities. They went to Vitebsk, they went to other Russian big cities. There were voice that got called. Right here it would be, I can't remember how to say that. first class business people that are very wealthy
Mm-hmm.
to show and could pay big money.
They.
They used to go for a year and
Mhm.
come back in, say, for summertime.
Uh-huh.
Or they had big schools in Lepley that they left. They wanted to be in a bigger city. Then Lepley, they let you in.
Were they Russian schools or Jewish schools?
Russian schools.
So they,
So we had Haiders, they're called. They're Jewish in there. But all these was all Russian.
hmm
The Russian cities and Russian schools.
So if you
You had to grad like you graduate for doctor.
right.
You had to go to a big city.
hmm Were there any doctors in the village?
Hmm?
Were there doctors in the town?
At first, they wanted graduate doctor. We had two that they knew that what to give you an aspirin, take severe fever. I remember I was a kid and I had a terrible toothache,
Uh-huh.
and I had to, the tooth had to come out. And he didn't know, he didn't have the tools. Then with a little, we call it a twine there, I don't know what they call it. I'll never forget that pain. I get jumped from the chair, I was maybe 10 years old. And I never forget. But in bigger cities like Washington, when my aunt, when I said I was there, they have a dentist. I had to go to a dentist before I left. Then I went there. That's
Uh-huh.
about 45 miles from us. But we got there. We went with horse and wagon. We had,
what?
like here at Texas.
Uh-huh.
Then he was a driver. He had his horses, and
That-
you paid him so much for your trip, and they took it.
He was from your village?
Hmm?
The taxi driver? Was he from your village? From Cominsk?
Yeah, he wanted to go someplace. We had the post office was
Uh-huh.
a man that kept the post, go there for
Right.
the mail, and go to, and he had drivers, the fancy carriages, and if you want to go to left, suppose he charges you so much,
Uh-huh.
and he takes you there, and then brings you back.
Uh-huh.
They were very wealthy people. Oh, my father and him were raised together. Then they were very close friends.
They were
With
raised?
the one that had the taxi, you call it, the horse and wagon.
Uh-huh.
And the horse and wagon.
Do you remember
But
his
nice ones. Then they know each other.
Do you remember his name?
I can't remember his name. But I remember when he died, we were foreign guy. My father and him were they were raised together.
Who raised them?
They're separate families, but they knew each other
So-
as children. He was born in that, and we lived just across a bar, deeper on a big hill.
Uh-huh.
But we could see that place anywhere I make it short. Then he had stores, to rent out and something like that. Well, anyhow, my father was out overnight in a dock, in a little stay overnight, and he got a heart attack. That man, I remember like today, and died. That was going on in that shtetl. And that don't keep him long. What happened, he lost a lot of his business. And he didn't have, I know my father used to send me to collect from him because he did for him work, for the extra what he needed. And sometimes he didn't have. Then Thursday we used to go for Shabbos and collect. He gave me $3, my father sent me there. Then he had there was a store not far from him that kept all kind of flour, sugar, or so little store. Then he owed them some money. He got broke, not that, we get that way. Then she came to collect, and he didn't have any money to give her. He said, I'm just sorry. You have to wait. I just didn't get in it. And she said, I'm not going away. I want some money. And he got very upset and got a heart attack. Oh, he was going on. They wanted to kill that woman. That old brain and heart.
Uh-huh.
And then, I remember it was like Thursday, and it had to be the funeral. Oh, my father isn't home. He had to go. My brother or so in that store that knew that my father, and tell him to come home because from the post, he kept the, for the mail and everything, a well-known poison.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And told my father, my father was so upset. And he came because he didn't want to miss his funeral. And that didn't keep the,
No.
because they keep him in the house. They didn't have an undertaking place.
None at all.
No, it was the funeral done from the house.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it was terrible when he died. Oh. And he owed a lot of money, my father. Then what his wife did, he had a beautiful, they were about the same size, a beautiful winter fur coat. And she said, Solomon, take that coat. I haven't got money to pay. And it fits you. And he said, oh, my father wore that coat. It was a beautiful, the four colors and a very rich coat. And they wanted to pay, but they didn't have.
Just didn't have the money.
Yeah.
So, we were talking about when you left and when you were on the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you only people that you knew on the boat were the people that you just met?
Oh, there were a lot of there. They're strange people, but you get acquainted.
You made friends?
Oh, there used to, one woman, a couple were coming from that place. That I
From your aunt?
I didn't know them or no. I'm a middle-aged couple. And she used to say, I was so sick I couldn't come down to eat or anything. And she said, the mailers are coming on the boat like a bloom, like a flower. I was so beautiful and healthy looking.
Uh-huh.
And Luke was so near the water. I couldn't move and nothing.
So
I was vomiting. I could not raise up my head.
you got sick, seasick.
Hmm?
You got seasick.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Could not move, pick up my head. I picked up, I had to vomit.
Uh-huh.
Then they used to bring me food in the bed. When a nurse every morning came in, and the doctor used to come in to check on me.
Uh-huh.
On the toilet, on the bottom level, there is like I never was down there, and I was trying to see,
Uh-huh.
how the others are doing. But was a boy that I met, and he was on the toilet. Then he said, Sanjay, I'll hold on to you, and you go on it. So that used to come up to see me, and it was so beautiful.
Uh-huh.
And that I never made it.
You had a cabin to yourself?
Hmm?
You had a room of your own?
Oh, yeah, beautiful room. The nurse used to come in every while, and the waiter bring me my lunch. I ate some,
Uh-huh.
but I can't pick up the head.
So
I used to get dizzy for a long time when I was here.
after
But
you,
I went away. Look, I went on a cruise.
uh-huh.
The first night we got sick, me and the other woman, and we didn't eat supper. We went right away upstairs, and I heard that noise that came and gave us squeal. And that was the only night that we missed.
When was that cruise?
Hmm?
When did you go on the cruise?
On a cruise in the Bahamas.
Uh-huh.
I have a picture taken by the captain.
When?
You have to look up.
When was that?
That was when I lived already in Oakland, in Northgate.
Uh-huh.
I went with that woman now that we went a lot of places together. In Florida, we went to Toronto once,
Uh-huh.
and she lived in Northgate, and now she's moving in here. She lived there for 20 years.
Huh.
And she called me and said, Mamie, I'm moving into your building.
That's
And I'm
nice.
so excited.
What's
Very
her name?
nice person.
What's her name?
Esther.
Esther.
I knew her parents, her mother, not her parents.
Uh-huh.
And when we went to Toronto, when she mentioned, introduced herself, we went, somebody took us, I don't know, I don't remember if it was my dad or somebody drove us to the by bus station. Then when I heard the name, then I asked if that's the same family. She said yes. Then I remembered her mother belonged to the same organization that we did. That then we became very friendly, and then I moved into Northgate, and she lived there.
Uh-huh.
She lived just in the next building, but we were running to,
Back.
and we became just like one house. Very, very nice woman. Then now we in touch, we call each other and everything. Then 2 weeks ago she called me, yes, Mamie, I'm moving into your building. I'm moving on the 6th floor. Then I'm really happy.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
When the boat made it to America, where did it went to New York?
Yeah, I stopped. I didn't have to go to Castle Guard. When you go on first class, you don't see nothing.
Castle Guard was for.
I came to New York. My aunt, or my cousin Aunt Tillis, came to pick me up. I was 7 years old when my aunt left. She wouldn't recognize me.
This is
but
your.
the names.
This is
Then
your
they
father's sister.
Called my name and called her name to come to such a place. And we met, and we knew each other. And she brought me to her house.
And what was her house like?
Yeah, I went to her, and I stayed with her all the time.
What was her house like?
She lived in New York, 106th Street, in Howard, in a basement. In home, in Europe, she used to write letters to my mother and to my grandmother, with my mother. And I used to say that Chippy is well off, and she used to send all this money to my grandmother. I came in to a basement, ground floor. She had a soft food. Her house was messy. When I stayed there, I'm afraid to move. I said, oh, I know that Chippy's a the rich people, they live in a place like that. With 4 little cockets, 4 children. Annie Tillis was very smart, and she saw that I'm very disappointed. That while I see a room with curtains, with furniture, then I say, what is that? She said that somebody lives there. She laughed. How can it be? When you come from a house like we had, with everything. Mm-hmm. Well, anyhow, my tante saw that I'm staying there, and I don't want to take off my coat. I'm very disappointed. Then she said, don't worry, Mamie, Mashke. My name in Yiddish is Mashke, in Rosh is Man. I have the same name that Mani.
Mani.
Yeah, in Russia.
Mani in Russia, and Mash.
In Jewish, Masha.
Masha?
Then she said, don't worry, you'll have that room. Whatever happened. She was fixed up nice with curtains and everything. But to walk in a basement, then I stayed, I always was with her. And I got married and I was with her.
And so you went to work in New York?
Yeah.
And what did you do?
When I started in New York, I was working, I told him with a cousin, I do operating machine.
Uh-huh.
They made white collars and coats they used to wear.
For men's?
Uh-huh.
For men?
For women.
For women?
Yeah, that was that time the style. I say I still have some anyway, but then I worked there a while. And the boss was my mother's second cousin, first cousin, I don't know exactly.
What was his name?
Benjamin. Not came to me his name. Then he used to come and find out if I'm okay. And the girls, Smalls worked at a big shop. They had 500 machines.
Very big.
Mm-hmm. And he came up to me, he said, I'll give you a man that'll show you how to handle the electric machine. It was a lines like this machine.
Uh-huh.
And put me down and said, I'll send you, he's a landsman. Put me, he's a landsman, he's like from my step. He is from Chasney, 35 miles away from us, a young fellow. And he came and showed me how to operate the machine.
Uh-huh.
And I did well right away. I picked up right away. And they raised me 50 cents a week. I started with 7 and then I got 7.50. And all the girls used to be jealous because the boss comes up to me. The father of the boss used to come up. He was retired already and gave over the business to him. I wanted to know about my grandmother and very close to Europe, but lived I think in the same city or so, but old timers in New York. Then I decided I'll go to dressmaking. They said, you better go to dressmaking because then you'll be able to make your own clothes and it pays better. And I quit. I went to dressmaking.
You just
and
quit?
I got to look for a job. Or ask my uncles, maybe slept all over. Looked in the paper to find out, that I'd been there. I have an ad in the paper. And he took me down to a place. Then, well, I couldn't get that job, that's all. Then my aunt said, let's go back to Benjamin. We'll see, they'll take you back. He didn't.
He wouldn't take you
No,
back?
he said, you should not quit. I gave you a raise. You should work. Told me in Jewish because he knew that.
Right.
And he said, now go look for a dressmaker job. And it was a bad time to find a job.
Uh-huh.
And he wouldn't take me back. He was so mad at me. Finally saw in the paper that had dressmaking alteration. 106th Street, 8th Avenue. Where my uncle, my tante, Sipp's husband, took me oil in the morning because I didn't know where to go. And left me waiting on the porch till I locked me because he had to go to work. He said, stay here by the door. And I said, lock me at the door. You try to be the voice walk.
Uh-huh.
In Yiddish, I didn't know what I did. Well, by waiting for them, people were coming for the job. I stayed there, I don't move.
Uh-huh.
And then she opened up the store. It's a mechanic, get my push like that. For looking for the work. And I got the job. I told the truth, that I just came on what I could sew. And I didn't give in myself that I could make a whole dress. I say I know about making sleeves and, small things. And she hired me right away and paid me $9 a week.
So you made more.
And this is what I finished up. Then she gave up dressmaking and she got in silk underwear. And she took me with her.
To make silk underwear?
Yeah, I still have what I made that time before I came to Detroit. A gown, I wore it when I had that for the breast and caps that I used to wear, fancy. And then when I decided to go to Detroit, she didn't have any children, and she wanted I should live with them for 10 hours. And from there I came to Detroit.
How did you decide to come to Detroit?
Because my mother had family here,
Uh-huh.
at the Shapiras. And then she knew it was my grandmother's sister, the Shapiras.
Uh-huh.
Then I came here.
Did you come by train?
Yeah. Then my cousin supposed me to meet me by train. And one of my cousins hit died in the floor. Took me down to the train. I came to Detroit with suitcases, with hats, New Yorkers, by clothes. I came with beautiful hats that I bought. And my cousin isn't there. And my aunt lived in Auckland. From downtown to Auckland that time. It was a big way to go. We didn't send a telegram that I did, but my cousin sent a letter that I'm leaving such and such a time. I came when my aunt got a letter. Then there was nobody at the station. Then I stayed there with all the packages. And I don't know where Auckland is or anything. And finally, you ask, that's all. And they put me, I asked somebody and say, this goes to the street, any street you want. Just watch for the name of the street. They had the address. I took this from Junior Noble.
No.
Oh, you hired them?
Yes.
Oh.
We were talking about how you first got to Detroit.
Well, because I had a family here.
Uh-huh.
And then
Who did
then
you...
I didn't know anybody.
Uh-huh. Who did you stay with in Detroit?
I roomed with, I knew from New York,
Uh-huh.
Yankees, so when I came here, then I knew a lot of people that comes from Leslie.
Uh-huh.
And I connected with the Yankee that he took me, and then they had family here, and they moved here. And I stayed there for a whole very, very nice people. I met all their family very well, the Davidson brothers, if you heard. Then I got very close with them.
Uh-huh.
When my husband died, and they had a lot of stores, chain stores. Then everybody knew Davidson brothers. They were in big stores, the Federal store.
Federal Department Store?
Yeah. And that was lived where I lived. That was family to that woman. Anyway, then when my husband died, and they knew that I'm in bad shape.
Mm-hmm.
Then they told one of the sisters that I was very close with her to tell me not to worry. If anything I need, I should just come.
That helped you out?
Yeah, then when business was bad, he said, even when my husband was living yet, then they said, if I need credit or so, I should come. There were 4 boys, and it was, they were very close.
Uh-huh.
Then I roomed till and then my aunt came up with Zipper.
Uh-huh.
Then he didn't get a job in New York. And
Where did you live in Detroit?
when I came here, when I lived with this one, I lived on Chain Street, on the boulevard.
What street?
Chain.
Chain?
On the boulevard.
Uh-huh.
They lived there, and they had a big store there. And on Saturday, I used to have Christmas time. I used to be with them in the store. The Davidsons had a big store.
Uh-huh.
They had all over the store. They were there to work after school on the weekend. Doris worked for them after school, and that was very, very nice to me. When Daddy died, when my husband died, said, anything I need, should come and take if I want some stock or something. It was very nice.
How did you meet? How did you meet your husband?
How do I meet him? In Detroit. I had people from Europe, from Lepley, that I knew. You know my cousin Julius, that is cousin from Windsor.
Yeah.
That lived in Windsor. Then they moved here. Anyhow, I was introduced from the Minkoffs.
Yeah.
He was a cousin to my husband. But I really didn't think about anything of marrying also. But he took me out and a couple times, and then he got in love.
What was his name?
My husband? Sam?
Sam Zirulnik.
That was just called the baby before the Jewish name.
What was his name in Yiddish?
Shimcha.
Shimcha?
He came from a big city. He came from Yekaterinoslav.
What's the city?
Yekaterinoslav. Now they call it a different name. But he came from a big city. And when I came to New York, he lived on the same street that I came.
The same street in New York?
He came from New York to Windsor.
But you never knew him in New York?
No, I met him here.
So, how long were you, did you see each other before you got married?
We lived in the same, he lived room by my nanny, and I lived by my nanny. But I knew her. I got married in March. And it was about 6 months, I think.
Did you have a big wedding?
No, big wedding. I knew he was going to wait to the army. He was drafted.
For World War I?
He was drafted already. We couldn't decide to get married or just to go. And he said, belongs to me. But I'm afraid then he's not going to force me. If I want to get married, he would be very happy. But he's not going to he left it to me because I was the one to decide. But people were, I had an aunt, she felt terrible. She came and said, how you want to get married? And in case he got killed or he'll become a cripple, I said, this will be our law. And I felt that what will happen, that's all. But I didn't want to do it to him. He was very much still involved. And I thought it's not fair. It's not his fault. But I'll take a chance.
So.
And then when he came, we had a big party. He came just before Thanksgiving, and then we had like a wedding. This is what I got for a wedding gift from one of the superiors.
This
dish. The mom wants to have it. I say, take it right now.
This dish is from when you first got married? So you've had this a long time.
Yeah. That was my wedding gift.
It's beautiful.
From you knew the Chinese superiors, that's from there. And this I brought from New York from a girlfriend.
This?
This cutlass. This I gave to Doris. I had a ball like that I gave to Ma. And this I gave to Doris. And when I moved, she said, take that. I said, what do I need? I say, you'll take it back someday.
So,
And that's a beautiful piece.
Yes. So
I got it from a girlfriend from New York.
In New York? Around 1915 or so?
Yeah. I came in 1914.
Came
1914.
Came to the United
July
States.
1914. Oh, June the 30th, 1914.
And you came, when you first came, how long were you going to stay?
when I first came to New York.
How long did you plan on staying in the United States?
You mean in New York? For 2 years.
Uh-huh.
I worked there.
No.
I went to school
Uh-huh.
when I was done.
What school
I
did
went to Lexington Avenue where my nan lived. Was a school, for night school.
to learn English?
Yeah, oh, you know that? I picked it up so fast that I used to write over the English letters.
Uh-huh.
And my dressmaker that I worked for, she said, "What are you going to be a teacher? You work overtime, you'll have extra money."
Uh-huh.
You know, I work overtime. Then I did when I quit. But I can't forgive myself. I was liked it so much, and I came from work on the other way here, Chapel, and the school happened was right across the street.
Uh-huh. Did you plan on staying in the United States?
Huh?
Did you want to stay in the United States, or did you plan on going back to Russia?
Well, no, I wanted to go back.
Uh-huh.
Because I miss the family. I couldn't see, and I felt sorry for my parents. I got smothered.
Uh-huh.
I used to get letters crying how they're missing me,
Uh-huh.
or how they worry about me. Then I wanted to go back. I only came for a visit.
Just for a quick
I
visit?
came, that's why I came with first class and everything. Because I only came for a visit.
Uh-huh.
They said, "All right, leave her go. And she'll take care of her mind and she'll come back." Then I figured a year, that's all I'm going to
Just
stay.
for a year? Was it a big fight with your parents?
Huh?
Was it a big fight with your parents to go? Did they want you to go, or?
They didn't want me to go. You know, I was the third one of the children,
Uh-huh.
and everybody thought that I'm crazy. I have it so good. Why go to America?
Mm-hmm.
Then I promised I wouldn't stay. Then my uncle, the one I say that died, my mother, said, "Leave her go. She'll come back." And I came with the idea I'm going back.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I remained stopping. That, well, you know, the school, I enjoyed so much night school.
Uh-huh.
And I came to Detroit, and then I stopped school, and I never remained here. I didn't care for it.
Uh-huh.
I come from a too nice of a home. Well, my parents were so nice and nice family. I miss my grandfather. Boy, was he carried on. I'll never forget this word when I said goodbye to him. It was my father's father. He was so crazy about his grandchildren because the rest of his family didn't live in town where we lived.
Uh-huh.
Then he never saw his grandchildren once in years. And to him, he never missed a day to walk over to see the kids. And we were already grown. Then when I said goodbye to him, he said, "Oh, my kid, I wouldn't see anymore." And he was young, he was 65 years old that time, and he had grown grandchildren already.
Mm-hmm.
Like my father and mother, they were the same age. They were only 46 years old. If I would know that I wouldn't see him anymore, I wanted to know how old they are. They're the same age. There's some family, second cousins or something, and my father and mother.
How old were you when you left?
How old I was? 19?
You were 19 and they were 46.
Hmm.
When you were 19, they were
I think
46.
that's what I was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, after you came over, the war broke out.
Couldn't go back.
The revolution
Know them where they are.
was the revolution broke out in Russia,
Yeah.
and so
The Bolsheviks came in.
uh-huh. What did
They
they?
took everything away from my father, the house and everything. And then it was locked up. The boats didn't go.
So you couldn't go back.
Hmm?
You couldn't go back because it was bad over there.
Sure, that's why I remained here. I couldn't go back.
All right. And then when you married your husband and he was drafted, the United States was in the war.
I was married about 6 months, not
Uh-huh.
even 6 months. I know he was drafted. I was in New York to a wedding. to my cousin. If you remember, a cousin was attempted to in the house. I had another aunt there and a cousin, and she got married 2 weeks before I did. But I didn't know that time. We didn't know that he'll be drafted. Then I went to the wedding. Being there, I got a letter from my husband. I should better come home. He's drafted.
Into the army.
Yeah. Then I came home. I came there to stay a couple weeks.
Uh-huh.
And when I got a letter, I came home.
Uh-huh.
And then we couldn't decide what to do. They said, get married. They said, no, you're foolish. Why you get married? You get another friend. And I got, we made just a ceremony, just in my husband had a sister here, that Marlon, that from Windsor, his parents. Then in her house, they only had many people you have to have to the Hooper. It was like a funeral.
Uh-huh.
Everybody cried, and they cried so much and could not decide. And I decided, well, I'll have no heaven.
Uh-huh.
And that's all. I'm not going to tell her around with a boyfriend. And only one there, I got married.
Uh-huh. So
A couple months. In May, got married in March. Only May he was already
drafted.
A couple months.
Did they send him far away?
They sent him to Battle Creek. That was a help for him when he was married.
How did that happen?
How? They announced when they were called them in, to assign them where to go. Some of them had to go to Sibir, that's the voice place, and it's a 4-year stay. Then, we were very upset. Then he went in, they had to be signed out, that they were going to be stationed. Then they wanted the people that work for the government called and said, can anybody give him a real reason to be in the country here and here? They'll consider. And my husband picks up his hand and gives the reason that he's just got married and I'm here alone. I haven't got any family here. And he would like to be around in the state. And they signed him up for Battle Creek. Then he was 6 months in the
6 months in.
Yeah, but we saw each other. If he couldn't come, I went there. When the war stopped, I was there.
You were in.
I came there just for a couple days or so. He used to bring it, chicken and so, make to get away from the army food. And then when he was very good with his captain, he had a company shop. Then the captain said, you better keep your wife here for a little longer because I think something will come up good. And then the war stopped.
The war ended.
And that was in the same room. There another woman, a little woman from New York, a young couple. Then he called me, take a cab and come right to the station, to the train. And we went to get home.
Back to Detroit?
The papers.
Uh-huh.
And came home after the time. Had a room there. Then they had a big sign, welcome home. And I promised before he left, his sister made dinner and his brother, everybody. And I say, when he'll come home, I'll make a turkey dinner. I was just married. I didn't know how to cook or anything. And that was happening. Then we had a big party. We made a Thanksgiving dinner. It was just close to Thanksgiving when he got home. And that's the way it was. And we were a very happy wife and made a nice living.
what did he do? Did he open up a shop?
Yeah, sure. On 3rd Avenue.
3rd Avenue?
And then we moved from 3rd Avenue, and we got, business got so bad. And I didn't want to be in that on a Goya-shaped neighborhood. Anyhow, he sold the store on Bardavon and Woodward Avenue.
Woodward and where?
Woodward on Watson, near Majestic Theater.
That must have been a very expensive place.
Oh, that was such a big thing. And then we made big money. He made big money on 3rd Avenue, and he came. He had a big sign in the window, just returned from the army.
Uh-huh.
And there were all rooming houses, big rooming houses.
Uh-huh.
That patronized, just returned from the army. He made a fortune. That it wasn't a week that I didn't take money to the bank. He was a hard worker.
Uh-huh.
And then we moved to Woodward Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went into Jen's Furniture. Second-hand clothes and Jen's Furniture. So he told me with stuff and everything like that.
Right.
And we had another, we had 3 stores. The corner store was a cleaning, dry cleaning, and then it was the Jen's Furniture, men's furniture. Then we did very well.
Uh-huh.
And then came the depression. We bought
Did
a
you-
house on Mount Vernon. I had a beautiful apartment. That time we on Broad Street, 200 was pension. I had a very nice, but there was a baby. And so I lived in upstairs. And he used to cry a lot. And then when he was walking around already, then he used to drive around kiddie cars. There was nothing that Sid didn't get. He had a room full just special with all
Toys?
kind of things. A horse, every time they have the show on a horse and the Price is Right that I think about.
Uh-huh.
And any kiddie cars and anything. Our store was across the street from all these things. So then my husband never came home without bringing something.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Was your husband's family around?
Yeah, sure. He had a brother here, Morris, you remember him.
Uh-huh.
And he had Ben, a brother.
Uh-huh.
He had a sister.
What was...
And then a brother he had in New York. Then the brother moved and here too.
What was that brother's name?
Max. I have a niece from him in New York, and she calls me all the time.
What's her name?
Sylvia, if you heard talking about.
Uh-huh.
She called me last week from
And
New York.
what was your
It
husband?
was a big tragedy when my husband came home. It was the flu epidemic.
Uh-huh.
And my brother-in-law moved from New York, that's always here. And that happened that she got the flu. She had 2 children. The little Sylvia was 4 years old, and a little boy a year and 9 months old. And she got very sick on the flu. They rented a flat and everything. He got a job and a very good family man. He liked his family. And she got the flu. I'll never forget that. She was one of the nicest looking women that you could
What was
see.
her name?
Bertie.
Bertie?
She was so attractive, a very beautiful looking woman. Only the little boy had trouble with an ear. He is now, he lived around New York anyway. Then he was working, he couldn't take her to a ear doctor. Then he came to the store and asked my husband if he could take him, or I could take him. And I took her downtown to a ear doctor. And she was so upset because the kid was screaming. He examined him year and a half old, a year and 9 months old. Anyway, make it short. We came to her house and she was burning and excited because the kid was crying so much. And she got the flu. And I stayed there just for another day. And when the doctor came and examined her, and he said to me, if I want to stay here, take off your coat, but she has the flu and it's danger. Then I got frightened and I went home.
What was
I'll make it real short.
So,
She died. We have the two little children.
what was the boy's name?
Mark.
Marv?
Yeah.
And he was about the same age as Sid?
Uh-huh.
Was he the same age as Sid?
I said. No, that wasn't working yet. It was
No.
right after he came from the army.
Oh,
He
okay.
was a baby. The little girl I was decided was to your grandma say the fifth boy tip.
Uh-huh.
And she came. Then on the baby, the little boy. And he was just came here from New York, very small. He was only 25 years old. It was such a tragic thing. The same she got sick on his sister, my husband's sister, Marvin's mother. He was a year and a half old or so, and pregnant. If any woman is pregnant, didn't survive, died.
And
Yeah,
what was her name?
Sophie.
Sophie. Who did
That
she
was Marvin's mother.
who did
Marvin's from Windsor.
who did she marry?
Hmm?
Who did your husband's sister?
Yeah,
Who did she get married to?
to a Windsor fellow.
Do you remember his name?
Dave. Well, anyway, it didn't take a week. And this Sophie was such a devoted to the family. She
Uh-huh.
loved this sister-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
Me, she wouldn't let in. Go away, go away. And they kept him in the house.
Right.
That was no cure. If any woman was pregnant, they had no cure.
Nothing they could do.
Yeah. And she was 27 years old.
Uh-huh.
With a baby, and 7 months pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. Then the doctors came, and there was no cure. Oh, that first one that took her to the hospital, and she died in the hospital. This one they didn't take to the hospital. But they brought her, the biggest doctor,
Mm-hmm.
just about a day before she died, 2 days. And he said, there is not much hope, but to my husband didn't go to this, didn't give the story more. He was straight over there. Benny, Benny, he was the youngest. When he came, stayed there, and they brought it around. They said there is one doctor that he didn't lose any patient. Then my husband find out who the doctor is and brought him over. And he examined her. He said there is no hope, but if it would be my sister, I would try. Wrap her in hot sheets and that kind. And my husband said, doctor, it's your sister, do something what you take. And he did, but nothing helped. And she died, I'll be careful. Then one Sunday was one funeral, the next Sunday was the Sophie's funeral. You could imagine in 1 week, such
1 week,
two
both.
young women, mothers. Oh, I won't be them through. Then what do you do with the baby? Then his parents took the baby from Windsor.
This is Dave's parents?
Mhm.
Dave's parents?
Yeah,
What were their names? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Did,
Anyway, it was such a terrible tragedy. I lost my best friend, 25 years. She was only married 4 months. And we just in a couple of days, that was such a tragedy. And this Sophie, how sick she was. But I wanted to see her. Then she wouldn't let me in, but by the door. Don't go in, don't go in, don't go in. That's all. But to that funeral, I'll never forget. her brother that, what I say, that she died the week before. He wanted to throw himself in the grave. And it was a terrible tragedy. And then they put them together, 26 and 27 years old. Yeah, but it was terrible.
That was a bad time.
The following week, Daddy was maybe, how old was Daddy? A infant,
Yeah.
I guess.
Then you got the flu.
And got it so bad,
You were very sick?
very, very sick. And I couldn't take care of the baby.
Uh-huh.
And he used to lay and creep and cry. And I took him off, I couldn't notice him. And no noises to get. But I had my husband's family, the extracts, if you remember, they cooked up my
Sophie?
head.
Sophie?
He ran away to them and said, I'm not going home without you, Tante. You have to come and help me. If not, I throw myself, I'll live in there. He can't stand the baby cry so much.
Mhm.
He was hungry, infant. I think he was 3 months old, so 2 months old. The doctor came and said, take care, forget about it. I said, doctor, if anything will happen to the baby, I wouldn't live with it. I don't want it. When she came, her children didn't want her to come. And my husband said, Tante, I'm not going away without you. If not, I'm throwing myself out the window. I can't stand that, not that I'm so sick, but he couldn't stand the baby crying for food, and so they took it off. I couldn't notice him. All right, we went
yeah.
to all that in the full time.
Yeah.
It was a terrible epidemic.
Did,
I lost a young cousin, 21 years old, in New York. Became engaged. I knew the girl, gave her a ring, and this guy, oh, he was such a dog. He was such a dog.
what was his name?
His name was Mo.
Were your husband's other brothers also married?
Yeah,
Your husband's brothers in Detroit, were they all married?
all married?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben was a young fellow. Ben lived with his sister.
Uh-huh.
He came to the country, was 16 years old. Their children were very smart in school. They went in Europe,
Uh-huh.
in Islam. The teachers used to come. They had a brother died in the war.
Uh-huh.
He came to the house. They should let him go to college with scholarships. And Benny too, he graduated high school in Europe.
Mhm.
And he stayed with his sister. His sister came because they didn't want to let him go too young. When
Mhm.
my husband was here and Moritz was here already, but Max, they wanted his wife died. Then she came out with him. And he lived with her. He went to school.
What was her name?
Sophie.
Sophie. Yeah. Okay.
When he went to school here,
Mhm.
when he went and took up tool making.
To make
When he
tools.
was a toolmaker. When he lived for her till she died. From the funeral, he had to stop and take his clothes and his suitcase. He didn't want to go into the house and came to us. And I
This-
had him for 6 years before he was married.
6 years he stayed with you?
My husband said, you have 2 husbands now. I had to make meals and do his laundry. Very close.
Uh-huh.
But it was hard. I was young, and then we had Doris, a baby, and Cyril, there was a baby. But he stayed with me for 6 years till we got married.
Uh-huh. Do you remember your husband's parents' names?
I know her name was Malke,
Mhm.
but I don't remember. I didn't know them.
Mhm.
And then, when the kids got a little older, Dad and Doris,
Mhm.
Doris was about 3 years old. Then I was going for a trip to Europe.
To visit?
Yeah, with the kids. I was ready, I was shopping, and I was bringing everybody gifts and everything. Then I had a neighbor, and I lived among 20, and I had a two-family house. And she had a little boy the same age as Doris. We raised them to get she lived upstairs. English people from London. And she went on a trip back to London and came back, and the little boy got sick and he died. Oh, I loved him so much, a little Jerry, such a beautiful child.
Mm-hmm.
Then she said, don't go. It's too hard on the kid, the trip. When I was all bought for everybody gifts and ready with papers and everything, my husband, his parents that I'll visit them.
So,
My husband said, now at the time, the kids are a little older, you could handle it. And I got to be, my Nelson was so happy. One day my mother writes me a letter, she decided, better wait another year. Also, the kids should get older, she thinks it's danger to take him too young. I was so disappointed, said, as much I want you to come, but I worry about the children. Then we decided we'll wait another year.
Mm-hmm.
Then came the war, and we said, you couldn't go. Came already this, and I couldn't go there.
So,
and I never saw him, that I never saw him.
you didn't, during World War I, you lost touch with them. You couldn't write to them.
No, I didn't know where I am when I got there, and I didn't know where they
And how did you get in touch with them again? How did you get in touch with them after World War I? How did you get letters again?
From whom?
From your, yeah.
It was not easy. It was, you could not write, and you don't know where they are. They didn't know that I was married, that was before. And I didn't know where they are. And then I went to New York and giving that had offices that, to help people to find family. And I went special to New York to see if they could do something. And I gave him all the information. There was nothing open.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came the Bolsheviks, and so, well, there was no way of me to get him in touch. Finally I got a letter and told me all about it, that living, and then I used to send him so much packages, food, and everything. I was busy all the time buying or sending packages. You had to weigh everything so much. Clothes that had nothing left.
And then,
What
it's
is about
okay,
the
it's not,
food?
it's okay. You want to stop for a while?
Well, let's see what's about the food. I want you to have one.
Okay.